Welcome to Beyond the Wormhole, where we take you out of the matrix and into the great beyond. I'm Debbie Pokornik, and I am here with our wonderful traveler herself, Angie LaRue. Hi, Angie. How are you doing?
Hello, Debbie. I'm doing beautifully. Thank you.
So nice to see you. So, what did you want to share with us today?
I want to say about 4 years ago, I did a very unique jump with a group of people that were trained to go out of body, particularly astral traveling. They had trained under the Monroe Institute and some other universities and whatnot. So they were quite accomplished. And they decided they wanted to do a jump with me. And this was a little bit different than what they were used to because they were astral travelers and we traveled etherically. And they weren't sure if they could do that or not, but they were able to. So
Nice.
when I asked them, where would you like to go? The lady, who we will call, trying to remember back, the color of, I think her field was like amber.
That's a nice color.
We'll call her Amber.
Okay.
Amber said, let's go to our lives before, our last life before we incarnated on Earth. And I was like,
What a great
yeah,
idea.
no, we'll see what happens. That's assuming there were lives before we incarnated on Earth.
Oh gosh, we
Uh,
know there were. Come on.
I didn't know at that time. I had hoped or I had assumed, but I got my proof.
Nice. Okay, well, do tell.
All right. So we're going to start with Light Blue's story. Light Blue has appeared in a number of our other Beyond the Wormhole episodes. We traveled together for quite a while. We did a lot.
Right.
So we'll start with his world. There will be pictures. We were able to do all this. So we start with, and these pictures I'm going to put up, and then the rest I won't. They'll be inserted, edited in. So
Okay.
we began with our group. So our group gathers outside of Earth, just kind of because people launch at kind of different points. We want to make sure everybody's gathered before we continue onwards. So, this is us looking down on Earth.
It
And
looks just like this.
a lot, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, it's remarkable actually. You can hang for quite a while just looking at Earth. It's always a fun thing to do.
I bet.
So we then set our frequency. We tuned to and opened a wormhole and landed above in the atmosphere above a very surprising world. It was completely water. We did not find any land masses at all.
Oh, wow.
So we weren't quite sure what we were looking for in an all water world. But we did notice on the surface were some glowing areas, like there was something underneath the water. So we set to where he was most connected to, and we went underneath the water. And we found these domed cities.
Oh,
Now, I think, to be honest with you, what we were looking at was the auric field of a collective of consciousness. It was actually a dome because there was no manufacturing. And so instead what we saw was we saw different domes kind of spread across the ocean floor, or we'll just call them auric fields. Um, uh, and they were types of aquatic creatures which resonated with each other, had symbiotic relationships, and lived together in towns. So in Light Blue's town, in his last incarnation before incarnating on the earth plane,
right.
he was, there's something that we call a Spanish dancer. It's a nudibranch, I believe.
Okay.
So he was like a cross between that and kind of a bat, and he
And a
crawled up
bat.
in a bat.
A bat, like
A bat.
flying bat. Okay.
Yeah, so maybe like a stingray, something like that.
Okay.
It's hard to
Okay.
explain these things.
Yes.
But he had these four little legs, and he could pull himself across the ocean bottom. We also saw octopuses there. We saw, there was definitely some fish, lots of jellyfish in this area. There were some fishes that had little things that came out of their forehead and went back. I'm looking at the pictures right now. They
I
went
can
back
tell.
and had little balls on them, kind of like a lure fish. You know, there's the fish that has a little lure that comes off. These were the opposite way. They went back. Lots of, lots and lots of jellyfish type things, and lots of things that kind of crawled around on the bottom. And there was also these. They look like sea corals, but very, very large and hollow on the inside. And there was a lot of coming and going out of these and a lot of interest, a lot of psychic interest. So we decided to trace them. And it turns out they were like entryways into an underground reserve of where they stored food bits. Right? They had like storage rooms underneath.
Under the coral.
Under the coral, yeah. And these
Wow.
hollow corals were how you accessed it. Yeah.
So
And it was a,
can we just pause here for a second? Like, so this is Light Blue's most recent past life before, but would that mean he might have incarnated since then on the earth plane a few times,
oh,
or
or many times.
okay, this
Uh,
is what I'm just, I wasn't sure if you meant his very last life
yeah.
before now.
Um,
No,
no.
no. Okay, okay,
Last life before coming to Earth to begin incarnating here.
okay, gotcha.
And, you know, I would say that people in this group had all incarnated here a number of times already.
Of course, which most of us have, but I didn't realize. So, are you saying that once we incarnate here, we stay here? We don't incarnate on another planet or another place. We stay here until we're done our evolution here?
Yeah, for whatever our soul mission is here, or multiple soul missions.
Right.
And but then it could be that our next study as a soul, there isn't an opportunity to grow in that particular way on the earth plane. And so then we incarnate somewhere else.
And then
So
come back to here after we've done that.
maybe not.
Maybe
I
not.
mean,
Okay.
there's so much out there. Right?
There
It's
is. There is. There's so
so
much out there. And past lives are such a mystery for a lot of us because we haven't studied them. You know, they're new. Some of us, as far as we go with them, is just like, you know, it's taken us a lot of work to get to the point where we believe that they even exist, that they happen, that they are part of us. So, okay, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to clarify that because
you know,
inquiring
and
minds
what's
want to know.
there was a woman, I want to say her name was Angela Thompson. Don't quote me on that. Who did a whole series of remote views for a gentleman, and he became very interested in other extraterrestrials' life forms and their take on things. And so an entire series of interviews was done with various ETs who would answer the call to be interviewed. And it was very surprising how few of them believed in reincarnation. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. The orbs, you know, the orbs that we see sometimes that show up in photographs, and some of us
Yes.
can psychically see them, they believe that when other beings die, they become an orb.
Oh, there'd be a lot more orbs then.
Ah.
We'd be pretty crowded with orbs. Just saying. Wow. Interesting.
Interesting stuff to ponder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I'm looking at my notes here of Light Blue's world, and it says fluid filled, honeycombed passages under the sea bottom. Some structures seemed like corals, and who had arranged themselves into habitats. And that was something that we very much notice as kind of the plant life, the undersea plant life. And the whole world was a shallow sea, so there was a lot of plants. They seem to organize themselves in ways to support the particular type of sea life that was living in that area, right? So it all seemed very conscious. Like, you know, instead of building the skyscrapers or building the neighborhoods, they were determining how they would grow to create that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I thought that that
Interesting.
was that was quite fascinating.
That is fascinating. Now, under the sea, they wouldn't necessarily see the sun, for example. So, did they have a sun on this Earth,
There was.
or not
In
this Earth,
fact,
this
I'm
place?
just looking here at somebody's drawing, and they're looking up through the water at the sun.
Oh, okay. Well, it seems the sun is such a critical part
Yeah.
of our livelihood, and the things that you're describing, like stingray and jellyfish and so on, we know that they survive here in our world.
Hmm.
So I was checking for other
Yeah.
similarities, so much
And
so that I called it Earth, and it
right
wasn't Earth.
here's somebody's drawing of like one of the undersea domes.
Okay, so they're reflecting off a
Well,
golden light.
yeah, I mean, if we're assuming it's glass or Lexan or something, something like that, which we actually don't think it was. We think they were auric fields.
Yes,
Um, but you still, in order to reflect those kind of color ranges or colors, you're going to need a sun. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
which we did clearly see. We could look up and see through the water a sun.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but
Very interesting.
there was a world we went to, another one. This is Amber's world.
Okay.
Um, and Amber's world was a heavily mineralized world. There was a lot of no nearby sun at all. It was always kind of a dark, dim twilight in that world. So, maybe a sun out like Pluto, right? It was very, I'm sure there was a sun. Well, I'm not sure at all. No, it's not true. I'm not sure.
But you're guessing,
but
guessing that
but
maybe.
there was more than just starlight. It was a dim light. One of the things that we noticed when we came into this world was a lot of the loose rock on the ground, big mineral structures, rock structures, and quite a bit of lava. There was that had been moved out. And so we went to look to see, what was Amber in this life on this very dim planet, very far away from the sun.
Right.
And we found up against a rock a sheet of like mica or silica, so kind of see through.
Hmm.
And underneath it was some type of lizard,
A lizard.
a lizard.
Okay.
That was her. And when we were able to see, was formed like somebody had lined up little pebbles. Like
Oh,
you could dimly see almost like little boundaries. From her viewpoint, we realized that was a little fence that marked her territory. And
oh.
next to it was another one, another lizard with its territory in its little home. And
Little lizard yards.
another one and another one. And as we did inquiry on that, we discovered that was the highest life form on that planet. That was the most evolved life form on that planet. And it
Wow.
had this sense of territory and individualism and stuff like that. There were ships that came and went, though. The world was occasionally mined, or ships would stop for a period and gather some things and then leave. But for whatever reason, the world was not richly inhabited. We found no plants. No, I'm not sure even
Well,
what.
with no sun, there wouldn't be plants
Yeah,
because
it was just
photosynthesis cannot occur.
yeah, it was just minerals, and volcanoes.
And lizards,
So and lizards,
mm,
yes,
including
and
amber.
yes, and on Amber's notes here, I'm looking at it. She says obsidian or volcanic crystalline formations, triangular pyramid-shaped, built into the mountainside, life forms in a cavern communicating as a crystal chorus. And then she also has a crystalline amorphous life form, umbilical energy. So, it's very likely that this type of lizard actually even maybe ate minerals. That could be what it fed on.
I guess so. Because it
And
would have to eat something.
right. And then there was this symbiotic energetic relationship between it and the crystals, according to her notes. Yeah. So if you don't have a sun, there's still ways to get energy, right?
Right. It would be very interesting to know what her first incarnation here on Earth was. I don't know how incarnation works. That, if you would go, say, from being a lizard there to being a lizard on Earth to, you know, evolving. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it is a hierarchy. I mean, hierarchy I know is a human construct that is not a healthy one, but I also know the animal kingdom, you know, works in a sort of hierarchy as far as who eats what.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. And I suspect a lot of us have worked our way up on planet Earth through the mineral, animal, tree kingdom. I know that my first incarnation on this planet was as a mountain.
As a mountain.
I was a mountain.
Oh, wow.
And apparently I spent most of that life, which would be who knows how long it takes for a mountain to erode away, right?
Yeah.
Looking out at the stars, wondering what was out there.
Huh. Very interesting.
So I do see a note here on one of them that there was a sense of vegetation far away in the distance, but I don't remember that we ever actually went to look at that vegetation. Lots of notes here, lots of purple crystals being drawn, huge purple and crystalline structures in a row.
So amethyst-like?
Something like that, yeah. And I'm looking at various reporters' drawings, and we're getting a lot of that. It repeats over and over again.
Hmm.
And here's one: volcanic opening in planet surface resembles a black hole, but on land and absorbing light. Purple striations feeling all around the edge. So there was some type of mineral here that was putting out a lot of purple on this planet.
Wow.
And there was one thing that we did find that was a very interesting find. The notes say turquoise crystal ball encased in golden wire attached to something like an extended eye.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So where did that come from, right? An artifact, something that was created, fine jewelry, or possibly even an eye. Right?
Absolutely. Or a visitor came and left it.
Right. Yeah, it could have been some type of, very highly specialized cyborg eye. Or
Yeah.
all right. So 3 more reports to go.
Awesome. So tune back in if you want to hear more about where their place of origin was prior to coming here to Earth. And until next time, we'll see you then. Bye, Angie.
Bye bye.